some developments out of Germany. Well, there was already groups that were anti-Islam, and they were doing rallies and protests throughout the country. Now, a new update to that since the attacks in Paris. The Associated Press explains that a weekly anti-Islam rally in eastern German city of Dresden drew its biggest crowd yet on Monday after organizers declared it a tribute to the victims of the terror attacks in Paris. Now, if it was just a normal tribute, great. Obviously, we celebrated the tributes to that in Paris at the end of last week. This is something else entirely. These are anti-Islamic protests. So here we are again with some people in Germany protesting an ethnic minority and saying that they are the root of all of our problems. I've seen that movie. That movie doesn't end well. Now, more details. They call themselves patriotic Europeans against the Islamicization of the West, or Pagida. None of that sounds good. Okay, watch out for the patriots, right? And especially if they're defending the fatherland. Now, let's show you some of the pictures from these protests. Apparently, they claim there was 40,000 protesters in Dresden, but even the cops say that there were at least 25,000 people there. So there's your Pegida. And lots of folks there, lots of German flags waving. Now, they're also saying that the problem is their ruling class, including Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany. Now, this is a normal picture of Angela Merkel, and this is the picture they were showing in the protests. In a headscarf, yes, Angela Merkel was Muslim. You nailed it. Right. That's the problem with the German leadership. They are too Muslim. Okay, now, they're going to clarify and go further. They say one marcher, Markus Bauer of Bautzen, said he had come to express his disgust about what he called the ruling class. He said, Wall Street controls them all. They are responsible for all the wars, and people know that. Okay, just take out Muslim, put in Jew, and there we are back in the 1930s. Although they have their logic a little reversed in this case. In the 1930s, it was the Jews control Wall Street and the politicians. Now they're saying the politicians, Wall Street controls the politicians, and they're responsible for all the wars. But wait, who are the Muslims here? Are the Muslims in Wall Street? Or are they the German politicians? What on God's green earth are you talking about? Okay, so shocking that people who might be heading in the right direction might be a little wrong about their facts. Now, if you weren't clear enough yet on what direction they were going, Pegida's organizers insist that they aren't aligned with Germany's far right, but many in the crowd supported insignia and clothing that neo-Nazis used to identify each other. So that's kind of where the Nazis came from, and so to see a resurgence of that in Germany is not a happy moment, right? Now, there is a silver lining to the story, and it's a very important one. Now, this particular one in Dresden, this protest, happened to be fairly sizable. But in other instances, the counter-protests have been even bigger. So let me give you that good news. Berlin police said, for example, that 4,000 people demonstrated against an anti-Islam rally numbering about 400 protesters. Now, these numbers were before the Paris killings, right? But still very, very encouraging. In Munich, 20,000 people took to the streets to support tolerance, and only 1,500 anti-Islam protesters showed up. So don't get too panicked yet, and whatever you do, do not mischaracterize this as all of the German people. It appears that so far, by wide margins, still German people are in favor of tolerance. So, it's just a little, oh boy, warning here as we see Germans massing the streets, at least in one city, in significant numbers against a specific ethnic minority. That is usually not ended well. But for the moment being, an enormous difference between now and the 1930s is that the rest of Germany is standing up against them.